Hello Internet and welcome to the Collective Arcana. We are a channel all about tabletop gaming, and today we've got something pretty exciting for us. We've got our review of the Lost Omens Ancestry Guide. So this book is a new one in the Lost Omens series. It's going to give you expanded options for all of the ancestries and the versatile heritages that appeared in the Lost Omens character guide as well as the APG. Unfortunately, there are some missing, primarily the ones from the core rulebook. The reason for that, of course, being that they got plenty of coverage, both in the core rulebook and then in the APG. We're also missing Shuni, unfortunately, little pug people. I really would have liked to have seen them, but there's still a whole lot here to dive into. In addition to the other stuff, the ancestries and the heritages, there are also a few ancestry weapons. So there's a little bit, just a couple of pages of equipment in the book. So, definitely check that out. What is interesting is some of the equipment is for ancestries we don't have yet. I believe ones that are coming in the Mwangi Expanse book, which is due out later this year. Hey, before we dive in too deep, definitely help out the channel by hitting like, subscribe. If you haven't already, again, it really helps us out. We also have a Discord server. We'd love you to come hang out there. We'll be probably talking about this book for at least a little while, so pop in and hype out with us. We also have launched memberships, so if you're able to support the channel that way, again, really does help us, but in no way necessary. We'll continue to provide the content to you, whether you're a member or not. Just it helps to show the support, and we really appreciate it. So, before we get to these ancestries, keep in mind all of these are considered uncommon. So, if you haven't talked to your GM about using them, don't assume that you're going to be allowed to. In the default Galarian setting, they're pretty uncommon. Some of them are actually rare, even. So they're not guaranteed to be in the region or the stories your GM wants to tell. More so, of course, if you are not playing in the core Galarian setting. But one GM to another. You should let your players be these ancestries. They're all super fun. But again, it's the GM's call. So what do we have? We have expansions for the ancestries and heritages that have already appeared. For Aasimar, we have 3 new lineages, which are sort of heritages within versatile heritages, just to say exactly what type of creature caused your, in this case, angelic type of features to come through in your bloodline. There are 12 other feats, including a really cool ability to, if you're an Emberkin, to jump through fire to another fire in the area, which is super fun and interesting. Azarketi are a pretty interesting case here because they were supposed to appear in a book that hasn't actually come out yet, the Absalom City of Lost Omens book, which is due out this year. I don't know that we have a firm date yet. But so what's here is actually an expansion on an ancestry we don't have. The good news is that Paizo has stated they were going to release that information in a sort of standalone PDF for free. But as of filming this video today, it hadn't been released yet, or I haven't been able to find it. So if it does get added, we'll be sure to include a link down in the description. But the Azarketi do get 4 additional heritages. I don't know how many that's going to be on top of, and 16 other feats. One cool thing they get is the ability to acclimate their party to breathe water for a short time if needed, sort of bestowing their transmuted gills onto their party, which is really powerful, potent, and interesting. Catfolk, always popular. They get 3 new heritages, and they get 16 new feats, including abilities to catnap to regain temporary HP as part of their 10-minute downtime, and also a really nice survivability option, funnily enough, called 10 lives, not 9. Changelings gain 4 new lineages and 8 additional feats, including a cool reaction called Maiden's Mending that allows them to gain temporary HP after they cast a spell, which is super fun. They also get what you would expect, some elemental and mind-affecting options. Dhampir gained 3 new lineages, including the very fun Nosferatu-inspired lineage, which I'm very much looking forward to. The big thing, though, is they gain an ability to gain temporary HP after imbibing blood, whether from an unconscious or restrained victim, or of course from their teeth attacks that they got in the APG. Duskwalkers gain 13 new feats, lots of really flavorful options invoking each of the different psychopomps. There's one for the Katrina where you get some bonuses just by carrying flowers. It's really a lot of flavorful, really cool stuff. Not necessarily super powerful, but definitely a lot of cool, unique abilities. Hobgoblins gain 2 new lineages and 13 other feats. Lots of teamwork and support stuff here, which makes sense, given their reputation as battlefield leaders. But they also, most interestingly, get a couple of options to keep a party alive when they should go down, both tied into lore and just sort of as part of their, get up, we're not done sort of mentality that they have. Really fun stuff and very interesting. Kobolds gain 2 new heritages, 13 feats, including the ability to fly, real wings for your little dragon wannabe, as well as some boosts to other abilities they may have picked up, and a reaction for when your enemies are in your snares. Leshies, these adorable little guys, gain 5 new heritages and 8 new feats, some ancient elf style skill swap actions to or preparation stuff to reflect how long they've been around. And some boosts to their seed pod. Most interesting for me is the fact that the fruit leshies can grow fruits that act as healing potions. Super fun and super powerful, and just what helpful little critters. Lizardfolk gain 2 new heritages and 14 additional feats, including a level 17 feat to undertake a ritual to become permanently enlarged, which is dope. That is awesome. Another fun thing, they get an ability to, they have a feat that would give them the ability to use their tongue to pick up a light object within 10 feet, like a gecko. Just fun stuff. Orcs. I love orcs. Orcs get 3 new heritages and 9 new feats, all of which make them just harder to kill, more scary to fight, exactly the kind of stuff that you want from orc feats. For me, really interesting is they get these cool war masks that are like these magical face paints that they can put on and get more powerful as you invest feats in them, and give you some really cool, unique abilities. Really befitting for my orc shaman type spirit barbarian that I'm playing. So I'm very excited to talk to my GM. I have a GM about those as well. Ratfolk gain 2 new heritages and 10 feats. A wide variety of stuff here. One of my favorites is Uncanny Cheeks, which allows you to use the Prescient Planner and Prescient Consumable feat, but only to pull things out of your cheek pouches that you normally store stuff in. But there's also some really fun, there's some stealth boost, and there's a really sort of fun ability to deal extra damage to inanimate objects by gnawing through them, so that's fun. Tengu get 2 new heritages and 15 new feats. One is really cool. It allows them to master a sword just by spending 2 actions swinging it around, which is super fun. And it's a very cool thing that I did not really expect. But they also gain permanent flight options as well, which is, for bird folk, that's what you want. Tieflings gain 3 new lineages, including Rakshasa. A lot of really cool stuff there, but I can't get over the Rakshasa. Now onto the new stuff, the new ancestries and heritages in this book. We have androids. They come with 5 heritages and 17 feats. They get a powerful series of feats based around their nanites, their sort of robot blood that they have, to get some powerful reactions and a lot of cool tools, primarily around getting new types, getting to bonuses to certain checks that expand the more feats you take, including a very potent option to get a bonus to attack rolls, which is pretty rare to do without spells in this edition. The Aphorites are the lawful scions to go with the Aasimar's good and the Tiefling's evil. They get a lot of support options and an ability to create crystallized dust off of their bodies to create concealment for themselves and their parties. Definitely a great ancestry for a support character. Definitely a great heritage for a support character. Next, we have another versatile heritage. We have the Beastkin. I'm pretty excited about these. They are through any sort of, they leave it pretty open for how you got it, but you can take on a hybrid animal form for some reason. Maybe it's something lycanthropy related, maybe it's something completely different. It's really up to you. You could even be an animal that gained some sort of sentience and learned to turn itself into a hybrid and a human instead of the other way around. They sort of work like the way familiars work, where there's not really a set template that you have to use. You don't have to wait until they release rules for being a bearkin or anything like that. You just say, I am this type of beastkin, and then you take feats to reflect that as you see fit, much the way you would take familiar feats to reflect the abilities you wanted your familiar to have. It's a very cool open-ended thing and leaves a lot of room for builds. Fetchlings, or Kayal, are a new ancestry. They are humanoids from the plane of shadow. They have 5 heritages and 16 feats. They have lots of ways to do spooky stuff, and what I really like is they can manipulate their shadow to do a lot of things. Some of them are just almost like having an extra sort of clumsy-ish limb, but some of them can be much more distant, almost like having pseudo-familiar. Next, we have some really weird ones. We have Fleshwarps. This is a new ancestry of humanoids that have been misshapen by magic or alchemy or some other sort of strange or experimental forces. There are 4 heritages, they get 16 feats, and they are all frightening. They play off of causing fear or sickened conditions in your enemies based on showing them or forcing them to interact with your bizarre anatomy, up to and including attacking with your strange limbs or erupting tentacles from your belly. It really depends on what type of monstrosity you have pictured yourself as. The Ganzi are sort of the counters to Aphorites. They are the chaotic scion to go with the lawful, the good, and the evil that we already have. They have 11 feats to gain extra limbs that you might not expect them to have, innate spells each day from a random list that you have to roll on each day, as well as an ability to raise a fallen ally. So a lot of fun there, a lot of very interesting things. Next, we have Geniekin, and Geniekin are pretty weird. They are a versatile heritage that come as sort of a package deal. But there are actually 5 types, and within each type, a lot of versatile heritages will have lineages. These have 5 types of versatile heritage within the Geniekin sort of umbrella, and then each of those Geniekin, each of those 5 types, has their own lineages. So they do share 6 feats across the board, but then each also gains about 10 thereabouts additional feats to further expand their individual elemental powers and embody the types of traits you would expect them to based on their element of choice. There are the Aphorite for fire, the Oread for stone or earth, the Sylph for air, and the Undine for water. But there's also the Suli, which are these sort of hybrid mixture of various elements. Not as powerful in any one front, but sort of combining some of the features. Next, we have the Kitsune. They are fox folk. They have an ability to take on a possibly less radical humanoid form that's local to their area, or a little fox form, so that they can hide the fact that they are Kitsune. And this is because they're a very trickstery type of folk. They have 5 different heritages and 14 feats. They get an ability to toss out an elemental attack, not unlike what the Geniekin can do. Typically fire, though your heritage may change that, or some of your other feat choices. But they also gain tails based on either the highest level spell they can cast, whether it's innate or part of a class, innate specifically from the ancestry, or based on the number of Kitsune feats that they have, the ancestry feats. Collect all 9. They have a lot of trickster style feats and a lot of magical effects that they can muster, as would be expected for this sort of trickstery ancestry. Speaking of trickstery, we also have sprites. These are tiny fey creatures that involve having no reach on their weapons, so they've got to actually occupy squares with their enemies, which can be dangerous. There are 6 heritages and 14 feats. Lots of traditional fey tools, tricks, and nature themes, including options for flight, of course, and a magical corgi familiar to ride on. Can't fly, but it's still pretty fun. Finally, we have Strix. They are humanoid bird folks with wings and talons. Not just winged humanoids, they're definitely bird folk, but they don't have full-blown beaks like Tengu would. They are very protective and prone to vengeance. There are 5 heritages and 14 feats. Of course, they get full flight, as they should, but they also get some unique bird calls, some of them just to speak with birds, some of them to have a little more subtle effects, plus some mimicry as well. They can also use their wings to cause gusts of wind, and they can potentially revert into a primeval Strix giant bird form, which is pretty fun. One thing you may have noticed here is that we have a lot of ancestries with the potential to gain flight, including some ancestries that were already present that didn't have the option. There are some rules for gaining flight earlier than the level 17 for permanent and 13 or 9 thereabouts usually for partial flight. So that way, GMs, if you want to, if you don't think it will be too disruptive, you can allow it, but you can also stick with the base rules to say, wait until later level when flight isn't such a big deal. You can, of course, because they're also uncommon and rare ancestries that get these, you can also just say, no one that can fly is coming to my game, and that's okay. But do note that humans potentially can too. So that's the Lost Omens Ancestry Guide, sort of a crash course there. If there's anything in particular you have questions about, we'd be happy to answer them down in the comments below, or again, we'll be talking about them for some time, I'm sure, over on the Discord, so come hang out over there. We may do we do have sort of some ancestry videos planned to go a little more in depth in all the ancestries. We're just not sure exactly what format those will take. So if you do want to see more of those types of videos, deep dive on these new ancestries and the old ones, stick around the channel. That content is coming. We're trying to decide on a format and a time frame. But it is definitely on its way. So we definitely recommend you pick up this book. I am a homebrewer. I don't play in Galarian, but these ancestries are all really fun. Most of them already have a place in my world, and I'm really excited to try to find places to put the ones that don't, so that my players, can play them without, having to feel like they had to drop out of a portal or something strange like that. It's always fun for me when these new ancestries come out to see how it's going to work within my world. Especially when I have, some players who really want to play the weird stuff, and I definitely don't mind. Now, if you do play in Galarian, of course, it's a really good book. All of these ancestries are definitely things that people are going to be talking about, wanting to play. They're wonderfully weird. Some of them are bringing things from first edition that, were highly requested. Some are sort of kind of all new, really unique things that we're seeing, or just unique takes on those same things. So I can't stress enough, you should definitely allow these options. You should definitely check out this book. You can get the PDF. You can, of course, buy a physical copy hopefully from your local game store. But we do have links down in the description. So that's it. Let us know what you think of this book, and welcome to the collective, and we'll see you next time. Bye.